and get started, okay? This is going to be formal yet informal in that I want you to interrupt and ask questions or comment. If you hear something and you want to add on, please add on, okay? I'm going to go ahead and share real quick. Are you guys able to see my screen okay?
Looks great.
Great. Okay. So who is in the Zoom? It would be great if you took turns and just told your name, what school, how long you've been a principal or assistant principal, so we get an idea of the level of experience in the room. So who wants to go ahead and start for me real quick?
I can go first. My name is Angela Owens, and I am principal of Truman Elementary, and this is my, I think, third or fourth week of being a principal. Thanks to one dynamic lady for deciding to retire. I'm not going to mention any names, that's leading our workshop today, and so I get to replace her. So, and welcome to everyone.
Thank you. And then Ms. Horde in the chat, she has said, I'm a fifth year principal at Compass Elementary. She can't talk because she's on the road. Who's next?
I can go next. My name is Brianna Cottingham. I'm a vice principal at Kentucky Trail Elementary in the Belton School District, and this is my first day, so I'm very brand new.
Congratulations, wonderful.
And my name is Ashley Van Horn. I am a first year assistant principal in the Park Hill School District. Yeah.
Wonderful. I know Ashley's aspiring one day to have her own building. What about you? First day as assistant principal, someday do you hope you have your own building?
Yes, my end goal is to be superintendent of curriculum.
Amen. I hope you reach that goal. That's wonderful. I'm going to tell you real quick about me. I used to hate this slide in presentations, but I'm just going to establish some credibility really quickly. I just retired July 1, 37 years, 11 years as principal. I've been in rural, I've been in urban, I've been in suburban, been an instructional coach, wrote some curriculum for ELA for the Grandview and Pleasant Hill school districts. My wheelhouse is second and third grade, but I've also done multi-age all the way up to 4 or 5 multi-age. I love mentoring new principals and new leaders. I'm always a champion for our students. And then I graduated from UMKC and UCM. And these darling little faces on the screen are the main reason I retired. These are my grandkids. So we've already had several days of fun. And it took me 24 hours to recuperate from each one. So we'll see. We'll see how many more we have. The purpose of the series, I divided it into 2 parts. I want to provide you with some practical techniques, routines, procedures, and I want to give you encouragement. You know, we need more of that in the world, especially in education, and hopefully inspire you to be able to identify your why as a leader. Because if you don't know your why and you can't articulate it, you really can't lead people. And how we're going to do that is we're going to tap into that to-do list. I was talking to Ashley because she jumped on first, talking about, you know, we all have a long to-do list, but how do you prioritize? And I've made a lot of mistakes on prioritizing the wrong thing. What I thought was important was not really important. So I want to share some of that knowledge and practical experience with you. I'm going to provide you with documents. I'm not going to just tell you about something. I'm going to provide you with what you need. And so I am creating a Google folder that I'll just drop everything in and I'll share it with you. You can have it. Excuse me. We are recording the session. So if you want to review them, or maybe there's one coming up in November and you think, oh, I can't do that one, you can jump back on and watch it some other time. And then if you need personalized support, if you need somebody to talk you through some things, if you need someone to come to your building and just hang out with you for a little bit and just talk to you about things, I would be honored to be your person. Okay. I am new to Step Up Consulting. I've known our president for a long time. We were instructional coaches together, but she is fabulous. But I am new to this role. So I am excited to just kind of make it what I want it to be at this point. And right now I am mentoring new principals. So let's talk about what are those critical firsts. Now, your critical first might be different than mine, but for me, these were my stumbling blocks. So I'm just going to talk to you about these 4 things. And there'll be a level of application for you. You will say, oh, I hadn't thought of that, or I hadn't thought about it that way. Or you may think about, I don't need that, but thanks for the information. Or you may think, oh, yes, I've got it, but let me add to it. Because, I'm definitely not going to be the smartest person in the Zoom. I'm hoping that there are other people that can chime in and provide some practical support as well. So we're going to talk about the welcome back letter and systems of communication, your first building walkthrough and safety check, your opening staff meetings, and those very first days of school. Any surprises? Was there something you were hoping would be on the list that's not? No? Okay. So let's talk about this welcome back letter. Now, I became a teacher in 1988, probably before some of you were born. And here's the thing, you waited for that letter as a teacher. You could not wait to get it. For me, it's not, I was the crazy one that was excited about getting it, but my colleagues had to get it because they needed to see the schedule. When can I wear jeans? When can I get in my classroom? When's the opening meeting? And so these details are super important and teachers are waiting on it. How many of you have received an opening letter or have already written your opening letter and sent it? Are we all good? Good? Okay, I'm going to show you one thing about an opening letter. Hang on just a minute. Little things are popping up. Page 2 of the opening letter is the part everyone wants. If you don't have a schedule at a glance, you need to get one, because this is all teachers are going to read for, and they don't want to have to read 2 paragraphs to find out where they're supposed to be and when and who it applies to. So page 2 of my opening letter is always the most important one. It is the most praised. It is the most put on the refrigerator. It's on the teacher's desk. And this requires you going through multiple documents from the district, the new teacher stuff, the convocation, what you're going to do in your building, and you just pull it all together in one spot, including every PD and every meeting that you want teachers to be at. So that's my first piece of advice, is get yourself a good format that you can follow and just tweak it every single year. Okay. Biggest mistake I made on my opening letter was forgetting a new person. Don't do that to people. You never recover. I'm just going to tell you. Go back and double check that you've listed every new person and introduce them in the letter. Have somebody else check it. Your instructional coach, your secretary, somebody needs to check it, because inevitably if you leave someone off or misspell their name, it just is so hard to recover from that. Staff handbooks. You either inherit one or you make one, right? Why is the staff handbook so important? Somebody tell me. Why is that staff handbook so important?
Because that's where everyone goes. To kind of like if they're scared to ask or not sure to ask, they look there first.
That's always a principal's hope, is that they're going to look in the staff handbook. You're right. Why else? Any other ideas?
Yeah, I kind of, as Ashley said, it to me is like the go-to document to find all processes, procedures, how you do something. So I just feel like it's one of those documents that tells you everything you need to know without asking someone.
Right.
Well, and Angela, when you said that, it also reminded me, whether they look at it or not, it's kind of what they're holding me to, right? So it's what they're holding people to. So whether they look at it or not, it kind of gives me something to hold my decisions to.
Great point. I hadn't looked at it from that lens. I would say, too, I would add to that it provides you as the principal a safety net as well. If something's amiss, like you're suddenly noticing that schedules are off because teachers are picking kids up late from specials or lunch, or you're noticing, did I say it was a jeans day? Why are those teachers wearing jeans? You want to be able to go back to your staff handbook and say, hey, just a reminder, we agreed we were going to pick kids up on time. Just as a reminder, we said this was what professional dress is. Of course, you have policies and procedures from the district, but your staff handbook takes that really large document and whittles it down to the most important things for your building. And one of the things that I started was a Google Doc that always had next year's date on it. And when there were things that would arise in the building that I would think, oh, surely that's in the handbook. And I'd start flipping through it and I couldn't find it. Oh, there was the note, next year's handbook, please add da, 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 da. Because you want to make sure it's not a gotcha, it's a safety net. It's a safety net for you, for your threads of commonality, for the things you believe in. You want to make sure that you have your staff handbook and that it's readily available in multiple ways. You want it digitally and you want a hard copy, right? And Erica Horde says in the chat, you know, it's the Bible for the staff. Exactly. So the next thing in systems of communication is some sort of weekly communication you have with your staff. I have worked for 8 different principals in my career in varying degrees of efficiency. And the most confused I ever was as a teacher was with a principal that was really unclear. So there'd be multiple emails about a subject, but I couldn't pull it all together as a new teacher. It was just too hard for me. And so I didn't realize how dysfunctional it was until I had a principal that was really organized. And this is literally her document. She called it something else, but I called it the weekly connection. It is what guides you the next week. It's the menu for the staff. It's everything in one spot and reminders. And you always want to send it out the week before. And it can have any format you want. I'm sure my newer techie people do it in Canva. I'm doing it in Google Drive or Word because that's who I am. Child of the, 60s. So I'm sure Canva would make it look much prettier and would probably be more efficient. But this is where I literally put the bullet points for every single day. This would be an opening one, like the first week of school when the kids came. These are all your reminders in one spot. Even tells them what to wear and when to wear it if we're going to take a picture, right? Then there's the looking ahead section, updates you want them to have. My instructional coach had a corner where she would talk about curriculum and reminders about resources. So that's one example. Here's another example, and these would send the staff over the edge. I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't a lot because it was a lot sometimes. But you can also get very, very detailed in what you're putting in here with inspiration, hot links to, hey, remember you're in charge of something on hospitality, reminders about Halloween. You'd be surprised how your holiday parties can send you over the edge. So think about all of those little things that need to be in there. And then just second quarter reminders. And look, there's the link to the proverbial handbook we were talking about, because surely there was something that I was trying to remind them of. So don't be afraid to put something in place that allows you to communicate, right? And set the tone. We must have been having some struggles and I've got the yes, but here's the complaint, but look what we're doing. So come up with something. You can probably Google a lot of different things, but come up with something that works for you to not only share what's coming up for the week, but looking ahead, and then start sharing data. Share instructional data, behavior data. When grade levels begin to see, oh, look, that grade level had 3 times as many office referrals as another grade level. It makes people start wondering, and it's not threatening because you're not doing it in a staff meeting. You're just sharing. What does the data suggest? How can we help each other? As a principal and a teacher, organizing my Google Drive was very difficult. And then I saw this on Twitter 2 years ago, and it changed the way I led. And we called it the information kiosk. So I created a Google Drive folder that had all these documents in it. And then I hot linked them to this table. So it's all in one spot. This is the launching pad for everything a teacher needs. That makes sense? Okay, not my idea. Took it off Twitter. I wish I could remember which principal it was, but we have added to it as time has gone on. And It's become part of the vernacular at your building. Have you looked in the kiosk? It's in the weekly connection. Whatever you choose to use for your building, you have to come up with your own systems, but knowing you need one is really important, right? Do you guys have a system in your building already? Does your principal already have a system in place where you are able to go to one spot for everything that teachers need? Kind of, okay. Give it some thought. I mean, it took me 9 years as principal to get to this point. This was not year one by any means of the stretch, right? Can you give me a reaction button? Do you think that this would be helpful for your staff? I mean, is this something that you think, yeah, I could see this really working for us? Yeah. Okay.
I was even just thinking this would be nice for me because while my building has, a binder that's a shared Google Drive, there's lots of stuff coming from the district and lots of stuff coming from lots of places. And it might be nice to link all of those folders into one place so I can kind of get all of those different documents that people are sharing easily.
It's a great idea. And we all know this little lady, right? The DESE lady, all the growth plans, she's on every document from DESE. As you get into your teacher evaluation, which is one of I think our topics in September, this will grow with what you're able to link here for staff and help them as they work through that process. Yeah. If it's not in the kiosk, it's not important. That's kind of that's where we got to as a staff. I'm going to switch gears completely and I'm going to talk about the building because this was an Achilles heel for me as a brand new principal. And so I want to share just my thoughts with you about it. I came from a beautiful building in Blue Valley where everything was brand new to an older building in a rural community to Truman. And Truman had no upgrades in Hickman Mills since I had been a student there. So the walkthrough was different in that you really were checking for safety. And I didn't do it. I didn't do a good job. And so I was in a reactive situation most of August after the students had arrived. I would never want anyone to go through that. So here are the things that I looked for. Halls, walls, ceilings, and floors. You got to look up. I didn't look up. You got to make sure the ceiling tiles are in place. You got to make sure they're not damaged. You got to make sure they're not dirty. You got to make sure that the lighting is the way it should be. You might be saying, is that my job? Yes, everything's your job in your building. Everything is. So you're walking through with, who are you doing your walkthrough with? Who, Angela?
Oh, sorry. My head custodian.
Right. Your head custodian and maybe your secretary, because let's be clear, the secretary knows a lot. So
Yeah.
you're going to walk hand in hand with some people that really know the building. You're going to look at the halls for safety first, right? Are there nails sticking out of the wall? Was there a plaque there that's been removed and now there's a screw that a child can rub up against? If this is an older building, it's very possible that could happen. You're going to look for painting that needs to be done. You're going to be looking for cracked tiles. Playground and bathrooms. These should not be synonymous, but sometimes they are. So you want to look at your bathrooms. Are they functioning? Are they ready to go? In an older building, it is not always the case. I did not look at the playground. I hate to admit that, but I was so focused on the inside of the building, it did not occur to me to look at the playground until the Sunday night before the kids came. And I was on the phone with the building and grounds people saying, this playground is not ready. So you have to personally get on the playground. You got to get up inside things and look at it. Are the swings safe? Is there graffiti on the inside of the tunnel? Are there enough wood chips? Is it what needs to happen for students to be safe? Teachers lounge, you always want to make sure it's ready for them. You want it to look nice. And if no one has the job of cleaning out the refrigerator, be brave and open the refrigerator and make sure it's been cleaned out, right? And then your front entrance. You want to get out of your car and you want to approach the front of your building like you are brand new. You want to be someone that is seeing it for the first time, and you want to make sure that your front of your building is ready for company. There's no litter, the flowers are ready, the windows are clean. It looks as nice as you can possibly make it when you walk up, right? So you got to see it with fresh eyes. Sometimes you walk by things all the time and you don't even notice that something's wrong with it. Case in point, bring somebody with you. And then the classrooms are most important. You want to make sure when a teacher comes back and they walk in their classroom that they have a sigh of relief, not angst. You want the sink area to be clean. You want the carpets to be clean. You want the floor to be shiny if there's tile. You want the paint to have been refreshed. You want to make sure that they have their items. You know, we do that big clean thing where we move everything out in the hallways or to the gym and then we move it all back. You want to make sure that teachers have their furniture. I mean, the hardest thing to solve is when a teacher comes to you crying because they've lost something, some heirloom or some box that had all of the most important things in life in it, right? So you want to do that proactive measure first so that there's no surprises for you. As a new principal, if you inherit a building that's new to you, you also want to look at, are there places to display student work? One of the first things that I've done in every building I've been in is rearrange the bulletin board so that every teacher had a bulletin board outside of their classroom. Why is that important? Why would I prioritize that? Welcome to whoever just jumped on. Thank you for being here.
Maybe so that just everyone has that equal opportunity to make their families feel connected before they enter their classrooms.
Mhm.
And we also want to, so the students have a place to display their work and so they are proud to see their work on the wall, because that really makes them feel good when they see their things displayed. They're like, wow, I did it. Look at my work. So they're very proud of themselves.
Absolutely. Isn't that builds culture, right? That sets the expectation and the tone for the building. Miss Horde in the chat said it's a chance for students to shine. Halls and walls should always speak to the culture of your building. Always. It's a reflection of you. You may say it's a reflection of your teachers, but it's not. It's a reflection of what you prioritize. So if it is November and there is still a welcome back bulletin board, that's a problem. If it's January and there's still something up about Thanksgiving, that's a problem. As a principal, I never bought the idea that teachers were busy teaching. Well, if you're busy teaching, you have artifacts to put up on the wall. So that, because your room should be, your bulletin boards outside your classroom should be a reflection of all the great things that you're doing inside your classroom. It should be a natural progression. So as you walk those hallways and other students walk the hallways, they should be able to say, wow, look at that writing that second grader did. There should be a natural comparison to what's happening from hallway to hallway, room to room, grade level to grade level. So give that some consideration. So if you have not planned time to walk your building multiple times before students arrive, you need to do that. This is a very messy slide and I apologize in advance for it. But the first day of school, I want you to have some of these questions in your back pocket to consider, okay? You want to make sure your classrooms are ready. And this is after teachers have been in there. So how do you ensure your classrooms are ready for company? I always say we shouldn't be surprised that someone's knocking at the door and that we're going to have company. We got students and families coming. In your mind, you have to have a definition of what does ready mean. If you don't define it, it will mean different things to different teachers, right? There'll be varying degrees of ready. So I want you to stop and think and jot down right now, what does it mean to you if a classroom is ready to receive students and parents? list a couple of things. What does it mean? Ashley, what's one thing you wrote down?
I just wrote them that all information can seem current. So any information that's out or up or displayed seems current.
Okay, great. Angela, what are you thinking?
All right. I wrote that in like your instructional material, your manipulatives, your library, everything is like organized, nice and neat, labeled. So it's easy access for the kids and easy for them to determine what everything is.
Perfect. Principal Horde said, there's a business center. It's clean, it's welcoming, it's organized, you know, it's ready to receive students. Ms. Cottingham, what do you think? What would make it ready?
I think for back to school night, a classroom that's ready has stations for materials, transportation sheets to sign off and make sure it's correct. Their desk is labeled so they know where they're going to be going the first day. They kind of already can see the layout of the classroom.
Perfect. Yes. I did not articulate that my first couple of years and was continually disappointed with a few classrooms. And so, and I had no right to be upset because I hadn't articulated it. So I'm just going to encourage you to articulate what ready means to you. Supervision schedules, lunch, arrival, dismissal, all that has to be in place. My big aha and takeaway was that fourth bullet. Those K-12 students getting off the bus and not having any idea what bus they got off of. And how am I going to get them back on the right bus at the end of the day? Have any of you experienced that where K-12 kids get off the bus and you're thinking, oh, they'll remember that they're bus 23. And the end of the day comes and they don't know. They don't know, right? So what systems have you put in place to figure out how am I going to keep track of this for every student? What have you seen work?
At my school, we give all our students a lanyard that they wear, and one, like their lanyard has their name and how they go home. And every day before we put them on the bus, we take the lanyard off for the next day, and then they put it back on to wear down to the bus at the end of every day. So we know, and we do it all the way through the whole school year, just to make sure everybody went home the way they're supposed to go home.
So how did they get their lanyard the first day?
Teachers
Right
have,
off the bus?
they don't wear it off the bus in the morning. They just get it to go home in, because their parents had already put them on that bus and they go home on the same bus. But we create the lanyards before the first day of school, so they're already prepared for them.
Okay. We've done that too. Our confusion came when they didn't ride the bus the first day because it was special. Yeah. So was mom and dad going to pick them up? Were they going to get on the bus? Are they going to after school care? That is the biggest logistical nightmare of a principal. You have to have a system in place for that, right? Anything else that you've seen work other than the lanyards? Because I've used that too. That's a good one. Ms. Horde says arrival and dismissal team, you need to have one. Students are marked in some way. Teachers know that by 11, if they don't know how students go home, those students should be identified. And then the arrival and dismissal team starts calling parents. Yeah, we implemented that too. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, we had a checklist that we had to go through before lunchtime so that we could report it to someone. And then we also had people who were in charge of going and checking in with each teacher to make sure, because that was the thing, is that it needed like 2 levels of check to make sure it didn't get missed, so that there were extra hands that would come to make sure that we knew for everyone.
You guys are very smart. That's exactly what needs to happen, because teachers get busy in the day, right? And they forget the fatigue and the physical strain of teaching all day long. And it'll reach 2:30 before you know it. And they're like, oh, these 10 kids don't know how they're going home. And then everyone's scrambling, trying to figure it out. So you always want to put those time frames in place. We even tried the stickers, right? We had bus stickers and the kids got off, we put the bus sticker right on them so that when they walked in the room, the teacher knew immediately, oh, these are all my bus 23 people. These are my bus 45 people. Then the stickers fell off. And we thought, okay, that's not going to work. So then we wrote on their hands. Whatever you need to do to make it work, that's what you need to do. So then what do you do when your K-12 kids walk in the building and they've been to meet the teacher night? I mean, they've toured the building, but they have no idea where they're going. And you have hundreds of children wandering, not knowing where's their classroom, and they can't read if they're in kindergarten. So what are you going to do to get them to their classroom? What's the plan? Ideas? Well, we've had several varying degrees of success. So we always print a master list, and the district did a great thing by only sending K-12 where I was before on the first days. So you had time to get your K-12 kids acclimated before your 3, 4, 5 kids joined them. But you always had a master list, K-12 master list, and you had multiple people in the building that were ready to help kids find. And so everyone standing at a door said to greeted each child personally and said, do you know who your teacher is? Do you know where you're going? And if they said yes, they went in. If they said no, we sent them to person A, B, or C who could help them get where they needed to be. But you've got to have that in place. That's not something at the last minute you can say, oh, let's go run some lists, or let's have someone in the gym ready to take them. Mistakes I've made with close to 600 students my first year. I didn't know that they wouldn't know where to go. I assumed everyone knew their school like the back of the hand, and they did not. So that would be my suggestion is talk to your teams, see what they've done in the past, and make sure that you have a plan to get kids to their classroom. And then in big red letters, it says nothing is more important than getting those kids home on the first day. Success to me as a principal was no phone calls. No phone calls that first day. Please don't let parents call and tell me they haven't got their child off the bus, right? Okay, let's talk opening meetings just real quick. You want to share your ideas for the school year. They want to hear what you have to say, and you want to give them the opportunity to share ideas together. What are we going to do the first couple of days of school? You got to give them the proverbial information, right? And you don't want to just talk at them, sadly, as I am talking to you. You want it to be fun. You want to do 4 corners. You want to do a scavenger hunt. You want to do something that makes getting the information more interesting and memorable. And most importantly, teachers are looking for inspiration, even though they say they're not. Even though you'll see all the memes and everything about the back to school meetings and don't make me do an icebreaker and all this other stuff, they are looking for inspiration because they came back. And if they came back, it's because they love what they're doing. Even though it's really, really hard, anything we can do as the building leader to help them feel inspired and empowered to know that they make a difference, that's what we need to do. And that's all up to you as the building leader. The best way to inspire your staff is to know who you are as a building leader, right? And so I am going to ask that you jot a little thought down right now. I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to really think about it deeply. What is your belief about the staff and students you serve? That's the first question. What do you believe about the staff and students you serve? That's the first question. And the second one is, how can your actions articulate your belief? So let's take just a couple minutes and jot those down. Just a few more seconds. And I won't call on names or put anyone on the spot, but certainly is a safe space to share if you want to. I will share that I know that your beliefs drive your actions and your actions get your results, because I've seen it happen in a negative way and in a positive way. If you undersell your staff or underbelieve in them or have assumptions about your staff that turn out to be inaccurate, and your actions articulate that, you're going to get results you don't want. Right? So you really have to know your staff. And you have to know your belief as an educator. My why has always been based in the idea that equity should not be determined by the zip code. That's not fair. Equity should never be determined by the zip code. It should matter if you're at 66213 in Overland Park or 64030 in South Kansas City. Children should be receiving the same type of education, and the same quality of teachers should be there, and the building should look the same. Sadly, it does not, but that's my belief. And so that's how I was going to act, in hopes that the results would come. And you have to say that to your staff. That's the inspiration. You have to be willing to articulate it, right? Too many leaders don't articulate it. Too many leaders don't say it. You got to say it. Here's my goal for the staff. Your staff is going to take inspiration from you, who you are as a leader. So is anyone feeling moved to share what is your belief about your students or your staff? How do you feel?
Okay, I can start. Our staff has chosen an incredibly difficult field in which to serve, and my job is to provide structures and supports that allow them to successfully serve our students. And then I believe that students deserve successful futures, and my job is to create a space and a place that provides access and opportunity to the skills that they need to be able to be successful.
So you should write that down somewhere. I'm not kidding. You should write it down, and you should look at it every day when you come in, because that's going to be your why, and it's going to drive your decisions. So every time you're confused, or every time you're having a hard time prioritizing because there's 100 things, you go back and you read your why. And that's how you prioritize what you need to do that day. Right? Yeah. Anybody else?
When I looked at the question, I thought about it. I compared I kind of put the teachers, the staff members, as well as the students in the same boat. And what I mean by that is the three things I wrote is guidance, feedback, and success. When I talk about guidance, I am indicating that all of our staff and students want guidance. That is where you need to be, how you need to do, give me the training, show me how, give me, those things. And then from there, they need feedback. You're doing a great job. Put a Y here instead of an I. I love the way you did your circle time. You gave, everyone wants feedback, whether it's we're in a growth area or just rah, you did it. And then success. Every staff member wants success. They want to say, yes, I was able to get all of my students to move, to increase their score, and I ready. Students want success. Yes, I did it. I moved up 10 points. That was my goal. So those three things I thought about when I thought about the belief and the beliefs of the staff and students, and then how my actions, and basically to do those things, give them guidance, give them feedback, and then share success and let them own their success, but also share with them in their success.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Please feel free to jump in if someone else wants to share, but I'm a person of mistakes. I make mistakes and I learn from them. I never do anything right the first time. That's just who I am. And so I want to share a real experience in both staffs where I was a principal. First time 4 years, second time 7 years. I made the same mistake twice. And I assumed that people knew how much I cared. And I assumed that they knew what my vision was for the building. I don't know why I thought they knew. I thought they would infer it from conversations we had or quotes I put on the weekly connection or the way I conducted business. But they didn't. And it wasn't until I made the leap and actually said it. I want to be a blue ribbon school. I know that we can be a presidential blue ribbon school. I know that we can transform the environment because I believe in you as educators. I know teachers are the most important factor in the classroom. They determine the success. And so our teachers have to be the best they can be. We have to be great so that our students can get a guaranteed and viable experience, just like they would in Park Hill or Blue Valley or wherever else. And everything else will fall in place because I believe in you that much. You deserve it. And every decision I'm going to make is going to show that I believe in you, I believe in our students, and I believe we can be a presidential blue ribbon school, that we can be a turnaround school, that we can be transformative. It took me to the last year in my first school to actually articulate it, and it took me to year 3, where I just retired from, to actually say the words. I'm encouraging you to say the words. They're not going to infer it. And they will do anything for you if they know your why, if they know your heart. So just encouraging you to make sure that you first know what it is and that you can explain it. When your staff comes back, they should be able to feel the joy and excitement and focus you have on a new school year. They should not feel surprised. Like you shouldn't walk in and go, did she not know we were coming today? I mean, why does it look like this? It needs to be ready. The joy and excitement you feel and the belief you have that you have a blue ribbon staff should be evident in the room. So if you think back to the very best experience you had as a teacher on opening days, when you all came back, everyone pretended they weren't excited and that they were like, oh, I'm so over this, but they couldn't wait to see each other. They couldn't wait to see their best friends. And secretly, they couldn't wait to get in their classroom and set things up, right? What did that principal do to make you excited? What was it? Was it an activity? Was it the way the room was set up? Was it the structure of the schedule? Was it the inspirational message? Whatever it was, you need to tap into that and you need to be mindful that you want to make your staff feel that way. Because the beginning is most important. Remember, beginnings and endings are most important. So this is just some examples of, hey, it looks like we're having a party because we are. It's the start of the school year. It's a national holiday. You know, we're back. So you want it to look nice. You want people to be thrilled that they've walked in the room. Give thought to how you're setting the table up. Give thought to your schedule. Give thought to food. Food's important. I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get food, but get the food. And then think about who you're sitting next to one another. Every little detail matters at opening meetings. Are you wanting besties just to sit together, or do you really want to promote collaborations? And so you're going to give assigned seats. What do you want to do? Think it through. You know, as an assistant principal, you may be given this task. They may say to you, do the opening meeting agenda, get things set up. That is always a principal or assistant principal job, right? let me see what Principal Hort is saying. She said, I always do breakfast, I always do decor, I always have music, and I always have intentional icebreakers. Right. So going back to these critical first, we've gone over all of them. Welcome back letter, the kiosk for your systems of communication, what you need to think about when you're checking for safety and is the building ready, your opening meetings, and then that first day of school, getting kids off the bus to their classrooms and then home again safely, right? So our next session will be August 28th. It's on school-wide expectations and discipline. And that's my email. It's real simple. SueH@stepupconsultingservices.com. And I will make this available for everyone. Let me stop sharing and just say, this was my first opportunity to do this. I could probably talk, as some of you know, for 3 or 4 hours about August and what it feels like, but tried to condense it to something that you could take away with you. So I'll give you a template for the kiosk. I'll give you an example of a weekly connection. You'll have the slideshow, so you can go back and you'll have a recording. So trying to give you what you might need. If there's ever anything you can think of that you're like, man, I wish she had talked about this, or I'm really confused about what's coming up in September with such and whatever, let me know and I'll be happy to put that in an agenda for you, okay? Yeah, I appreciate your presence and being on it. It helps my principal heart to be able to talk about the beginning of the school year since I'm not living it this year. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye? Anything that you want to know or anything you want to share?
No, I would just like to say thank you so much, Mrs. Herrera, for sharing your expertise and knowledge with us. I don't know if you're watching as you're talking, I'm like, my stickies, I'm like writing on my sticky, like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to change this. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I didn't think about this. And so, yeah, I'm knee deep, as you know, I'm first year principal and there's so much going on, but I decided to make the time to, attend the training because any type of professional learning development, because the more I know, the more I grow, then that means the better school I will have. And that is definitely what my number one priority is, to have the very best school, not just in Hickman Mills, not just in Missouri, but on this planet. And so this training program that you are a part, leading will definitely help me on that path. And so I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your support. So what you just said, having the very best school, not only in the district, in the state, and on the planet, that's your why. And now all you have to unpack is what best means to you. Because best to you is different than probably what best is to me and to Ashley and to, is it Brianna or Brianna?
Brianna.
Brianna. It's different. Your best is defined by your experiences. So that's your why. I encourage you to say that and unpack it for your staff. And here's what best looks like. And I'm all about a good acronym. If you could do BEST and come up with something, it'd be great. I'm just saying, you might be onto something. I wish you all well. Here is one thing you could do for me that would be helpful. If you want any of the materials and you want them quickly, even though they will be on the network, if you will write down my email and email me, I will make sure I share it with you right away. So it's just SueH@stepupconsulting.com. I lied, stepupconsultingservices.com. It's really long. SueH@stepupconsultingservices.com. Email me and I'll make sure you have everything that you need that we discussed today. Okay? You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being on with me this evening. I look forward to hearing about all the great things that your schools do and the things that you do. Right?
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. If you need me for anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great evening. Bye.